Alright guys, so let's carry on with our Friday lab, and we have our machines up and running. Oops, I did. Okay, so my machine number 1 is trying to show up. There you go. And E6i1, the DCUI is showing for the first hypervisor. E6i2, the DCUI for that is also showing. And okay, so those who have started that or are following me, so I'll just try to go ahead and hopefully 18. Okay, hopefully everyone has logged in. Sorry for the mix-up, guys, for the 2 meeting rooms. So I did create those already, and then I recreated again, thinking that it was not created. Okay, so here what we need to do, so what we were doing last time was connecting to the vCenter was connected to the lawns, and the storage was created there. ISCSI target server, we went for all these. Then actually I put the screenshots there that are required with the screenshot names as well. We created 2 data centers created. Then we struggled with adding hypervisors. So I never thought that we would be able to pull off. It's not we in Humber College also 30 students there, all 16 GB RAM and i5 or i7 laptops, and we're way ahead there as well. So well, I've always worked on another college where the RAM is 32 GB, i7 quad core, the best hardware. This is my first experience with 2 colleges and 30 students that we pulled off this much from 16 GB RAM. So that's amazing. Well, there are some advanced labs obviously that cannot be done. vSAN cannot be done on this, no matter what. But the more critical labs will still be able to go for. Some of you are sending me emails, and you're stuck at different points, or you're getting errors, but you're trying your best, and that's what I salute you for. That you're going for these configurations, which are kind of advanced. Are you as a recruiter? Okay. So, and as a recruiter, okay, that's another good one. So, the thing is that you guys are amazing. I was thinking that it will be a chaos, but you guys are much smarter, and I knew you were. But this is amazing that you're going through all this. Maybe you've done more difficult configurations than this, or maybe that's the toughest one till now in the whole program. But the more complicated configurations you face, the more your value is in the market. We could do easy stuff as well, but then yeah, that everyone knows as well already. You should know something more, much more than others. So that's why I was pushing for all this. Administration not entirely agrees with me on this. But if you gain something more valuable than other sections, then I would just call it a good deal for you. Let's go ahead and try to get a bit more of concepts there. So if I just go back to my vCenter here, so here the first of all, I came from the machine was suspended, and then I unsuspended it, so it's just frozen on this page. So I'm just gonna refresh that because it's gonna kick me out. If I start doing something here and at the middle of this, it will just kick me out. So better refresh it and check that, hey, is it going to let me go ahead and do my work, or it's gonna kick me out. So refresh would just ask you to sign in again, and sometimes it doesn't. So I'm just waiting for that. And what my main objective is that before the great mega grand quiz, I could go for the vMotion and fault tolerance, but those are kind of they require a lot of configurations. First thing is still that we're going to go for the vMotion lab, and that's where we're going to try to well, we're gonna try to move or migrate a machine without moving the disks. In Microsoft, we had to migrate the machine with the virtual disk, which is not practical in a production environment. Here we have that environment that normally you will see in companies and data centers as well, that you have a SAN there. Here you have software SAN. There you will have, in a big company, you would have a very expensive hardware SAN. I'm just going to go for, I'm going to click the home button here. I'm going to go for hosts and clusters. And where is showing. I'm waiting to get in. Oh man, last time he was stuck as well. Now he's stuck again. Go to 07 page. Go to. So there's one student who's stuck outside. I'm just putting a quick message to him. 07 page and go to what? Go to virtual classroom. And then click the meeting. Okay, hopefully he survives. So okay guys, here now we need to go ahead with the vMotion configuration. So currently we have the two hypervisors added here. If I click that first hypervisor here, I would want to check if I can see the LUNs or the LUNs or the SAN or shared disks over the network. So if I click that hypervisor here, I go for manage, I go for storage, and I go for storage devices, and I see MSFT and MSFT. So did we add 2 or 3? Yeah, we added 2. So 2 MSFT or the LUNs or iSCSI disks that are coming from a Microsoft machine as SAN disks or LUNs, right? So I can see that. So this means we're good that the disks are still showing up there. If I go to the same view in the second hypervisor here, so I just want to make sure the LUNs are connected, because we need to create a virtual machine on top of that LUN, and before we create virtual machine on top of those LUNs, we need to create data stores on top of those LUNs. So this would be what the diagram I put there, that you have the three machines here, and you have the 2 disks here. So those 2 disks are these are iSCSI disks, and they are connected to both. So connected to both. This one disk is connected to both hypervisor. Second disk connected to both hypervisor, and so this LUN or share disk over the network, that needs to have a data store on top of it for the virtual machines to use it, right? So if there is a data store, so we'll be creating a data store now, and if there's a data store there, then virtual machines will see this storage. Otherwise, virtual machines will not see this storage. So that would be DS1, data store 1, and that is in fact DS0, LUN 0. So normally LUNs are counted at from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we can create a data store. What is a data store? It's just a a partition, VMFS or VMware file system partition is created on top of a disk, so virtual machine can see it and use it. So we're going to create a data store on top of both of the LUNs here. So and the benefit, again and again, I'm just saying that if the data stores are not there, the virtual machines cannot use the storage or the LUNs coming from over the network. So I'm just going to we're going to be creating a virtual machine here in the ESXi01, and So ESX I01, and this machine, first we're going to create, obviously no operating system here as well. It's a limitation of the hardware that we don't have an operating system here. So we're going to create an empty machine with the help of a vCenter that is already there. From within the vCenter console, we're going to create a virtual machine on top of ESXi1. Its virtual machine files will be added to that data store that is not yet there but will be there after this. After this, we're going to first go to the LUN 0, actually ESXi hypervisor 1, and we're going to create a data store there, and data store 0 and data store 1. So then after that, we can only create a VM there, right? So VM and the vdisk. So once we create that VM, because we have just 4 GB RAM here, we never increase that RAM. It's just 4 GB here, 4 GB RAM, and it's so 4 GB RAM here and 4 GB RAM here. So that RAM then limits us to just create a virtual machine with 1 GB virtual RAM for that, right? So that would be 1 GB 1024 RAM. So we're just going to go for that 1024 MB or 1 GB RAM. So simply let me just put 1 GB. So this virtual machine will have 1 GB RAM, and it's good enough to just start the machine, and then we just simply need to check out what are the configurations of migration or vMotion. So when we go for vMotion, so in vMotion, the VM can be migrated, but its virtual disk remains on the SAN, right? So that's what we need to see here. And since the virtual disk doesn't have to travel, so this means that the VM will migrate real fast. The virtual disk is in a production environment, it will be 200 GB or 400 GB. That's a heavy size, right? So it might take few hours to just migrate a disk. So when the only virtual machine is moving, it's actually loaded on the physical RAM of this server. So there's that physical RAM, and the virtual machine is, whenever you start the virtual machine, it is on top of the physical RAM, while the virtual machine's virtual disk is on LUN here. So what we need to move is just the memory contents of the virtual machine, which are very small in size. It moves here and gets loaded on the physical RAM of the other hypervisor, while the virtual disk never moves. It just remains here because it is on top of a data store. That data store is on top of a LUN. That LUN is attached to both ESXi1 and ESXi2. So this virtual disk is connected to virtual machine from ESXi1. When the virtual machine moves to ESXi2 or migrates to virtual ESXi2, this disk will still be connected to that same virtual machine. So there will be no disconnection there. All right. Okay, so that's what we are trying to check here. That okay, we have the two LUNs there. We will be creating data stores on top of each. Then we're going to create a virtual machine on either one hypervisor or the other. But when we move, does it move with the virtual? Does the virtual disk travel? Obviously, it won't travel. Only because there's SAN here and it's connected to both hypervisors. So only virtual machine contents will move, which are just a very small amount of memory contents there. So that is what we are going to try now. And in order to do that, so what is there, what components are configured, what components are not configured, we need to check that out. First of all, we check that the LUNs are available or can be seen from within the vCenter for both ESXi1 and ESXi2. Now this is very crucial that the LUNs are there, and if they're not there, obviously the whole vMotion cannot be done, right? So if we go back here to those would be the first two screenshots here. First one is this 200.2. If you click the 200.2 hypervisor under Tor DC here, and it is on manage, then it is on storage, then it is on storage devices here, and you can clearly see MSFT and both the MSFT you can see here. You can just put the column here, click the column here, name column, and then you can clearly see the two MSFTs there. So this means that the LUNs are still successfully connected to this particular hypervisor. So that would be our screenshot number one, where we did not do anything. So but we are confirming our configuration, because if this is not there, we can't even go ahead with the next lab. So that would be LUNs showing with ESXi1. So LUNs showing with ESXi1. I'm just gonna put that screenshot here. Oh. So vMotion would be the topic. And so the first screenshot would be screenshot 1, that LUNs showing or connected to ESXi01. If you type showing, it's okay. So I'm just going to put that screenshot. Obviously the second screenshot would be also there, that LUNs showing or connected to ESXi2 as well. So I'm just going to copy this. That would be my screenshot 2, because we did confirm they're there. So it would be screenshot 2 here and ESXi2. So well, I will be taking that screenshot now. So your screenshot should exactly look like that. I'll just go back here and I'll click just on the second hypervisor here, and it just takes us to the exact same area: manage, storage devices, and the two LUNs that are showing there. So I'm just going to click that name area here, column, where the name column, and I'll just go up there to show the two MSFTs here. So I'm just going to take a screenshot of this as well. And okay, so that would be the name, screenshot 2, LUNs connected to ESXi2. Okay, so if that is taken, now according to our diagram, what's the plan? The plan is, do we have data stores on top of the two LUNs that we created? Because then after that, we're going to create virtual machine. Alright, so way to go. Woohoo. So, okay, here, I'm just going to put there so now, where do we go? First we go to ESXi01 here, and then in fact we can go to you can see here the gray cylinder, and that's the storage area. Let's click the storage area here. Let's click the storage area here, and then when we expand to Tor DC, so I can see that there is data store 1 here. Now this is a local data store. If I go ahead and click the on top of the data store here, within the storage, and then the data store 1 here, and if I click to related objects here, so and then host, so data store under Tor DC, then related objects, and then this hosts. So So if I click the hosts here, so which hypervisor this data store belongs to. So it belongs to E6I01, which has the IP of 200.2. And this is a local data store. This is not what we're going to use. We're going to be creating data stores on top of LUNs, which are coming from SAN. So we're going to ignore this data store. We're going to go to TOR-DC, which is the data center under which ESXi01 is added. I'm just going to right click on TOR-DC here, or first left click and select the TOR-DC. Go ahead and select the TOR-DC here, and then right click on top of that, so you make sure that it did catch that. And then you see storage here. Now this is a storage, and there's a new data store. So this is storage, and there's a new data store here. So I'm just going to go ahead and click that new data store. But let's check that, can we see those iSCSI converted SAN devices or LUNs? So once we right click on TOR-DC and go to storage and click new data store, then we click next. And so the VMFS or VMware file system based data store we're going to have. So create VMFS data store. Data store just makes your disk usable for virtual machines with all the advanced features of VMware. So let's click that VMFS and click next. And then we see there that there's data store written there. There's a select a host written there. So let's go ahead and first select a host here because under the TOR data center, we only have one host called E6I01 or the IP of that. So it's just showing that one host. So I'm just going to select this host here, and the two LUNs appear here, right? So LUN 0, LUN 1, these are the two disks that we locally formatted, converted to iSCSI, and connected through vCenter to the two hypervisors. So I'm going to select 0 here first because I need to create the first data store on LUN 0 that is coming over the network to this hypervisor. So not only that, I'm going to select the 0 here, I need to give a meaningful name to the data store as well. So it would be DS0 LUN 0. So data store 0, LUN 0. So data store, once you create that, now the virtual machine will be able to see the storage, and we will be able to create that LUN. So DS0 LUN 0, because this data store is created on LUN 0. So if you have put that name there, and you have put that selected that 0 here under the LUN, so let's take a screenshot. Or let's go for the ready to complete of the the actual not here sorry. Let's go to the end of it, and on the review page or the final page where all the configuration will be showing, let's take a screenshot there. So if those were following, if you have done that exactly, selected LUN 0 and wrote that, then click next. Once you click next here, so it also then shows that, hey, you want to use the whole LUN or the whole 200 or 300 GB disk, or you want to use half of it. So if you do want to use half of it, then we can see that we can drag it to whatever you want to use now, and you can expand it later anytime you want, but this is just there for. So here 299 it's okay, and use all available partitions, this is also an option there. But we can also just use half of it, but we're gonna just go for full LUN to be used by the data store. So let's click next, and then this is the page we need to take a screenshot of. So it's just data store DS0 LUN 0 created. We can just call it DS0 LUN 0 created. I'm just gonna take a screenshot of this. So DS0 LUN 0 created. I'm just gonna put it there. Okay, so screenshot 3, DS0 LUN 0 created, or well, we're about to create, but, and put that screenshot. So the details of that would be coming here. And then we once that is created here, so I'm just gonna go for that's it, click finish. So we're gonna go for finish or finito. So the task, the recent task says here completed. That's good. Okay, cool. Now the good thing about the lawn based data store is the lawn based data store is that you create it here under 2RDC with one hypervisor, but it shows up in the other under the other NYDC or the other hypervisor as well. Why? Because this data store is created on LAN that is attached to both ESXi1 and ESXi2. So you can create on any one hypervisor the data store, and it will appear automatically on the other hypervisor as well. So you don't need to create DS0 LAN 0 on ESXi2. Either you create it on ESXi2, it will show on both 2 and 1, or you create it in ESXi1, it will show both in 1 and 2. Right? So that's one good thing. And now we're going to go for the second data store, DS1 LAN 1. So right click again on TOR-DC here. We could just do the same thing on NYDC as well. It just same thing. So storage, new data store, new data store, and then click next. VMFS there, which is okay. Next, and then select a host. So 192.168.200.2. So now it shows LAN 1 here. We're gonna just select that, and we're gonna go for DS1. That's the destore 1 LAN 1. So destore 1 is getting created on LAN 1, and that's pretty straightforward now. So let's click next. And yeah, we just get that. Okay, we can have the full of the LAN to be used, or half of it, but we're gonna stick to full. And click next. So we're gonna take a screenshot here for DS1L1 as well. So DS1L1 created would be the name, and I'm gonna go back to hopefully you're seeing that OneNote screenshot for DS1 LAN 1 created. Oh, Zubair, ESXi2 is not working. Try to reinstall or send me the screenshot what exactly is not working in that. Okay, so we got DS1 LAN 1 created here, and what is screenshot for? Yeah, it's screenshot for. So I'm just gonna go back here and just click finito here as well. So DS1 LAN 1. So I'm going to go down to recent tasks here and check if it is completed. Do always check that, because sometimes it gives an error, and up there we're waiting for it and waiting, and after a long time we realize nothing is happening. We go down, there's an error. So make sure it is green and completed. So here it is supposed to show up here as well on the NYDC automatically. DS0 LAN 0 showed up, so DS1 LAN 1 should show up. If not, then I'm just gonna refresh here. This one, I'll refresh. Oh, MSFT storage devices have vanished. So you were taking a. Are you following me, Mohammed, or you just discovered it? So guys, if the disk, so first of all, yeah, the two data stores are created here, and so that's what we needed for now. And so Mohammed, about your disks, vanished. So the troubleshooting for that is, I'm just going to show the troubleshooting quickly, guys, for if your MSFTs are not showing you, they were showing before and they're not showing, then you can do this. First, you can go to hosts and clusters, then you can go to the hypervisor itself, and in the hypervisor you go to manage, you go to storage, and whether you're in storage adapters or you're in storage devices, there's a rescan button here, this one. So this rescan button just tries to detect again all the disks that, or the LUNs that are there. So if anything else is not wrong, then normally when you click rescan, it just rescans and press OK. So that's the same thing you need to go for hypervisor 2 and try to go to manage, storage devices, and rescan. So that's a one troubleshooting if anything else is not wrong. So, oh, okay, try it, didn't work. Okay, Zubair, so I guess we will be talking at 4 then, because that seems like a big longer problem. But Zubair, I think you have opened 2 VMware workstations, so close one of them, and then this error should not come. So, and Mohammed, yeah, you still have 2 days, so you can just follow the video and try to just restart the machine here, and then check, then come back here and rescan here, because that's the same machine where vCenter is working. So you can also check all the services that are supposed to be automatic, are they started. How to check that on the Windows machine, that's a troubleshooting number 2 I'm just showing there. Services.msc, normally we go there to services.msc, it's being recorded, so you can see it even in the recording. And then I will click once only startup type, and against automatic deck, all the services are in the running status, and you keep going down till the automatic finishes. There is only one service here against automatic, that is a VAPI endpoint service, and that exposes a common endpoint and REST interface for VAPI service providers. That is normally for SAN as well. If it's not running, so we can right click and start that as well. It's not running, but my disks are showing, so definitely that is not going to solve your disk vanish problem, but try that. And automatic, then there are some services that are not related to that, we can just ignore them. They're not VMware services. But and against automatic, all VMware services, so I can see VMware services starting from here up to like 15 or 16 services here. So they are all supposed to be automatic, whatever is automatic is supposed to be running. So yeah, well, yeah, you can try the whole procedure of adding them again. That would be the final thing if it's not working. So okay guys, I'm just gonna, first we have added the data store here. If I go back to the diagram here, so what portion have we done? We have just finished the data store here and here. We've created the data stores. Now we can create a virtual machine on top of that. Then we have to go for some vMotion related settings where we need to actually do migration of this virtual machine or any one virtual machine from one hypervisor to another. So first we're going to create a virtual machine here carefully, and we're going to give least amount of RAM to that that can just power it on at least. So and then we're going to start configuring different areas of vMotion or migration, and then we're going to try to attempt it as well. So we're just going to go back to creating a virtual machine. So I'm on ESXi1 within hosts and clusters here, and I'm going to right click on top of that ESXi1 here, and you can see on the top there's a new virtual machine here, and that new virtual machine, you can go to new virtual machine here, and let's start creating a virtual machine for this hypervisor. So let's click the new virtual machine, and then there is a create new virtual machine. There are many other options here as well, but we're going to stick to create new virtual machine here, and then click next. And then we can't we can then just go for your first name, VM01. So that's the name of the virtual machine here. And then we're going to click next. Your first name, VM01, and click next. Okay, so compatibility check succeeded. So it is here, the IP, and then compatibility check succeeded. Next. Now you can see that the two LANs are showing there, and we can create that virtual machine on any LAN here. So just I'm just gonna select the LAN 0. You can select LAN 1 as well, but we're not gonna select data store 1 here because it is created on so data store 0 and data store 1 on LAN 0 and LAN 1, those are the ones that we will use because they're coming from SAN, and data store 1 is actually created on the local storage or local disk of the hypervisor. We're not going to use that, so I'm going to select that DS0 LAN 0 here, and after selecting that, and it says compatibility check succeeded. Is there anything here? Oh, there's no VM storage policy here. Okay, so compatibility check succeeded here. When we select that and click next, and once we click next here, there's ESXi 6.0 and later, which is compatible with this hypervisor here, which is okay. So click next. And then guest OS family, Windows, and guest OS version, Microsoft Windows Server 2008 R2. We're not going to be installing operating system inside, so it's we can just leave it as is. We're just going to have a empty machine. So the migration works with or without empty machine. So let's click next. Okay, so here 4096, and we're gonna go for 1024. And that's we can just also go for this new hard disk here, 40, and let's expand that. And so what we don't want is thick provision, lazy zeroed, thick provision, eager zeroed. We want thin provision. But what's the difference? We may have talked about that before as well. But thick provision is that the whole disk, virtual disk, takes or occupies this much space on physical disk. But lazy zeroed and eager zeroed, there's a difference there. That zero just means, or zeroed just means format. So either slowly format it or format it fast. So slowly formatting will not have a lot of area. Whenever you have installed the software, it will slowly format. Suppose you're installing MS Office, so it will slowly format, or lazily it will zero that area where MS Office files are being installed, and but yet it's not going to format more. So it will still be usable area, will be still small, but it would have occupied the whole disk space, whatever size is shown here. And eager zeroed, it will just format the whole thing right away, and when you install a software, its file will be spread across the whole disk there instead of a small disk here. Now what we can do is thin provision, and we must go for 1024 configuration here. So if these two configurations have been created here already, so configured here, so let's take a screenshot here. So virtual machine configuration, let's name it virtual machine configuration. So I'm just going to take a screenshot here for the virtual machine. And we're going to go for screenshot 5. and take screenshot. So this is clearly showing, should be clearly showing the RAM configuration, it's 1024, and the storage configuration, which is thin provision. So it should be showing all that. And then we go back here. So if this configuration has been done, we can just click next. And this is the whole configuration also showing there, and let's click finito. Let's click finito. Now I'm just going to go down to the recent tasks, and it shows that it's green and completed, so that's good. And the virtual machine shows here as well. Now what we can do is configure the whole set of vMotion related settings. Now what we need to do for vMotion, so I'm just gonna quickly put up a slide there to just go for the prerequisites of the vMotion, and then we're gonna start configuring that right away. So here what we need to know is the some of the rules of vMotion. So migration type is cold. So there's a cold migration, which is the machine is off. That is called cold migration. Virtual machine power state is off. And change host or data store. So you can migrate it from one host to another host, which is a hypervisor, or ESXi1 to ESXi2, and then the data store like DS0 to DS1. So across vCenter servers, yeah, if there were multiple vCenters, you can migrate across them as well. Shared storage, if it is off, you don't need SAN there, right? But also if it is off, different CPU families also okay. Suppose ESXi1 is Intel and ESXi2 is AMD. If the machine is powered off, it will still be able to migrate to different CPU families as well. Actually, those are different vendors. If their CPU families are different, then only. So Intel has different families as well, where the processors were released. Suppose one family of processor were released in suppose 2018, then 2019, and then 2021. So nearby years, if they are, they then put those processors in one family, or if there's no significant architectural changes there. So then suspended here, and that is if the machine has been suspended, you can still migrate the machine in a suspended state, because it freezes all the configurations there, whatever you were working on. And it can change hosts and data stores. It can change, it can go across the data centers as well, and it doesn't need a SAN as well, and it must meet CPU compatibility requirements. So different CPU families, if there are, then you cannot migrate a suspended machine. So that could come in your quiz as well, that we can migrate suspended VMs across the hypervisors which have different CPU families. So it is false, we cannot. And then there's vSphere vMotion. That's what we want to do. So we're going to try to go for cold migration, then suspended migration, and then vSphere vMotion given the time. So then virtual machine power state is on. That is called vMotion if the virtual machine is on, powered on, right? And you can just migrate it from one host to another host, ESXi1 to ESXi2 or 2 to 1. And it can go also across the the vCenters. And yes, shared storage is required. So the SAN is required. We have that SAN, and must meet CPU compatibility requirements. So it has to be exactly the same processors, or at least the same processor family. So the rest of that is vSphere storage vMotion, cross-host vSphere vMotion. So both can be done. vSphere storage vMotion is that virtual machines, virtual disk can be moved from one data store to another data store. And cross-host vSphere vMotion just means that not only that you're moving virtual machine from one host to another, but you're also moving the virtual disk from one data store to another. So it's two-in-one migration. Virtual machine changes the hosts. Virtual disk of that virtual machine changes the LUNs or changes the data stores. So you can do both those migrations or different components, or you can just change virtual machine can remain here and virtual disk can move migrate from data store 0 to data store 1, and so that's how it is. Okay, so if we go down further, I just wanted to go for some of the configurations, and then I'm gonna come back to this slide. I'm gonna upload that slide as well for vMotion, because in the quiz we can have questions from this. So I'm gonna go for requirements here. CPU compatibility. So in our case, so Tim is asking, is this our last lab? So Tim, next week is second last week or the last week? I think it's second last week, right? So next Friday is holiday, huh? Oh, so yeah, then well, we can still I'm gonna inform you then, if the last Friday we will have a great mega grand test, or we can still have one more lab. But I'll just put then quiz on. So I'll put the quiz on any of the, last Monday. There we can have a quiz, or the last day we can have a quiz. So I'm gonna inform that yes, this could be the last lab, or we could have another lab on the last week as well. So I'm gonna inform that. So okay. Let's go ahead, guys. And we were talking about this CPU compatibility here. vMotion interface should be their minimum 1 Gbps adapter. So right now, like it should be recommended is 10 Gbps network adapters you should have. Shared central mass storage, we have that. We have CPU compatibility, check. We have one minimum 1 Gbps adapter, check. We have that. Normally all today's laptops, they have one or more of the Gbps supported there. And then there is shared central mass storage and SAN, that is SAN, and then same naming for virtual port groups. So the this is also checked because our virtual standard switch has the same name port group, which is VM network, and sufficient resources on the target host. Hopefully we have enough RAM, but I guess 4 GB is enough. And then at least this license, vSphere Essential Plus license is required for the vMotion. The only thing we don't have is the vMotion vMkernel port that we need to create. So I'm going to go for second screen here, and let's create new vMkernel adopter port group with the same name on both hosts. vMotion, we're going to name that vMkernel adopter. This adopter will help us migrate the virtual machines from one host to another. So if we go to this, so we have network adapter, physical network adapters here. So we're gonna create a virtual vMkernel adapter in this the standard switch. So we have standard switches already installed here, and we're gonna be creating vMkernel port or adapter. You can say adapter. So that vMkernel adapter will introduce advanced networking configurations for vMotion. So it will help us configure vMotion in both hypervisors. So we need to add vMkernel adapter. It will require its own static IPs. So we're gonna be putting there 192.168.200.10 for this vMkernel adapter. and 11 for this. So then our virtual machine will be able to migrate because all the other prerequisites are done. So let's go ahead. So okay, so Josh is here, and we have a lab class on Good Friday. Oh, also you never posted the wiki project. Oops. We have 2 weeks left and like half the course to do. So half the course. So if the project is not there, I'm just gonna put it another quiz, and you will get a lot of marks in no time. So well, given the quiz is good. Otherwise, the project. Now I said that on Monday as well. Serious. I should not say yes to every college when we're teaching. So for college and a couple of a lot of students. So again, so if it's less time, obviously it's gonna get just simpler and simpler, the project. So so do we have a class on Good Friday now, guys? Is the college open on Good Friday? If the college is closed, obviously, like officially closed, not the close, the one that we have closed, is the college saying that please do not have any class? um, if the college officially says, hey, don't have an online class as well, please, it's Good Friday, okay, we don't have a class. If the college says, no, 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 you have to have a class online even on Friday, if the college insists, yes, we will have to have that class. So synchronous lecture delivery live is not an option during Saturday statutory holidays. So yeah, if I can, like, it's not me, it's the college, right? College tells me take a class, we don't care, so we have to take a class. College tells me don't take a class, I don't, right? They pay me for that, so I'll just follow what college tells me. So I just need to check the college policy, and that's it. We don't have a class if the college says don't. So simple. If yeah, statutory holiday, normally we don't have a class normally. These are not normal times, but I guess we won't. The college has to say that, email, okay. So yeah, I mean, if the I'll just email the management, hey, this Friday class or not? They say no, that's it, done, right? So but I'll just put it on the obviously on statutory holidays we don't have a class, but so most probably no, but if there is, I'll email. Okay. Alright guys, let's go ahead, and we have kind of limited time. More of the grade to go. Yeah, 48% more. And don't worry about my course. Everyone gets better. It's just that do the labs, and this will be useful for you in the future in the career. But marks, yeah, you'll get it. So if all the requirements are done, obviously. So let's go back to what we were doing, and that is let's go to yeah. Here in the hypervisor, and let's try to check what we need to do. So first of all, we're gonna go to our networking. So on hypervisor 1, I'm gonna go to manage, and I'm gonna go to networking here, right? So then in the networking, we're gonna go for vMkernel Adopters. So if we click that vMkernel Adopters here, yeah, kernel. Okay, so vMkernel Adopters, and there's VMK0, already a vMkernel adopter with an advanced feature called management network already there. Because of this feature, we are remotely connected from vCenter to a hypervisor. We are working inside this hypervisor here from here in this Windows, right? So because of this VMK0. So now I'm going to add a second one because we're adding another advanced feature called vMotion. So let's click this add host networking, this one. And then we're going to go for vMkernel network adopter that introduces advanced features like vSphere vMotion. That's the one that we're about to install. iSCSI, NFS, fiber channel over Ethernet, fault tolerance, virtual SAN, and host management. In fact, guys, I was going to ask that, hey, how about a small lab as a project or some research as a project? because I'm already done with giving all the details of the lab. The lab is pretty easy. It's just that it's going to be a bit time consuming. It's not a lot time consuming. Maybe you will be able to do that in 2-3 hours or 4 or 5 hours maybe. So that would be the project. Hopefully you get it tonight, and maybe tonight you will finish that. I'll just keep it not complicated. So it's about project lab is about creating two virtual machines. One is ESXi hypervisor, one is the Windows machine, and naming convention has to be exactly as told in the project. And you will connect from Windows machine to the hypervisor, create some network cards, create some storage, create a few more things, and kind of done. So that's easy, 18 marks, I guess. So and then will be then the only thing left would be the labs, the rest of the labs, and the great grand mega quiz, right? So that okay. So well, the project would be like that, but it's not gonna take you time, a lot of time. So let's go ahead. Vmkernel Adopter, if you have put in that option here, let's click next. And then we're going for virtual switch here. So vSwitch 0, yes, we can create a vMotion advanced feature on the same switch, or we can create a new switch with different network cards. We don't have different network cards here, so we're gonna go stick to this vSwitch 0. Hey, do we have? I'm gonna check that on this side. One. How many network cards we have here? One. Okay, so we're gonna keep it that way. Now, the best practice is that you create a new switch with 2 extra network cards. Normally, each hypervisor host, the physical server, has 8 or 12 or 16 network cards there. So new switch with the new network cards just for vMotion traffic. But here it's the training environment, so we're gonna stick to this one. So vSwitch 0 here, and click next. And we go for vMotion here, and then we're going to select TCP/IP stack with vMotion as well. So this means that this is dedicated just for the vMotion, the migration of the virtual machine. It do require a lot of bandwidth there. So you can just put vMotion. In fact, you can put here dash your first name, vMotion dash your first name, vMotion dash your first name. Let's click next. vMotion dash your first name, and then we're going to go for IPv4 settings, and we're going to put our IP as 192.168.200.10 and 255.255.255.0. So both vMotion vMkernel adopters would require an IP, either static or dynamic, right? So I'm just going to go for next and click. Well, here we're going to take a screenshot. So vMkernel adopter created for ESXi01. So let's take a screenshot here. vMkernel adopter added for ESXi0. So we're going to take a screenshot here. Screenshot number is 6. vMkernel adapter added to ESXi01. And click finish. We're gonna do the same thing and same screenshot on the second hypervisor as well. So it appears here. I'll go down and check it's successfully completed. I'll go for the second one now, second hypervisor here. And it shows up on manage and networking in vMkernel adopter already. So I'm just going to go for add host network adapter. And then once you go for vMkernel network adapter here, select that and click next. and vSwitch0 will be selected here, and click next. And then on network label, again, vMotion and your first name. Make sure you have a first name here. So here, vMotion, select that vMotion, you must, and vMotion dash your first name. If that is done, let's click next. We also give that IP here, 192.168.200.11, tab 255.255.255.0. So if that is given, 200.11, and next. So on this page, we're going to go for Vmkernel Adopter created for E6i02, and take a screenshot here as well. Screenshot 7. Vmkernel Adopter added to ESXi02, and yeah, and then we go ahead and click finish that one as well. Well, we're kind of ready. So if we go back to the screenshot here, so we just need to try to power on the machine and try to migrate from one hypervisor to another hypervisor. So let's try it now. So the machine is on E6i01 200.2, and there's a machine. If we click the machine itself, and then we're going to right click. First we select the machine by left click, then we right click the machine and go to power and power on. So the machine powers on, operation failed for the entity, the following session ID must not be null. You're a key thingamy. So if anyone following, do you get the same message? Oh, but power on virtual machine operation failed. Okay, if it failed, okay, let's go to summary here. Is it powered on or has it been powered off now? Well, regardless of the error, it's still powered on, right? So if I click that, so it shows the login screen here. So it's still powered on, so it's not powered off. Alright guys, so we can try to go ahead and do that migration. How do we do the migration of a powered on machine? So right click on top of the machine after making sure that it is showing the green play button here, and it, you can see the summary here as well. So it is powered on. In fact, well, okay, right click here, and then we're gonna go for this migrate. So let's click migrate here. And change compute resource only. So that's the option that we're going to select there. Change compute resource only, because compute resource is a hypervisor. So change from E6i1 to E6i2. That's what it means. Change storage only will be the data store. Suppose it's on data store 0, so it's going to change to data store 1. So change compute resource only is, and then click next. So it says here that it's already on 2, so I'm just gonna put that, what's the destination? So I'm just gonna put 3 here, And once you select 3, it should not give any error. It should be like this, green, compatibility checks succeeded, right? So if that's the case, so far so good. So we put the destination, which is the other hypervisor, and next. Then it says that what kind of network there that you're going to be connected when you reach the New York hypervisor there. So it will be the VM network, which is the port group of the default standard switch. So that's good, and it's also giving a warning here, but that's just saying that, hey, you're crossing a data center. So Tor DC, we're about to migrate from Toronto data center to New York data center, right? So when it migrates, so it's just saying that, hey, are you sure it's the correct network on the other side? We know that it is the correct network on the other side, so it's okay to ignore this warning here and click next. And then it says, hey, you want to do it now as a high priority, or you want to schedule it and do it later when the users are gone, maybe in the evening or on the weekends. So we say no, we want to do it now. So let's click next, and it just says ready to complete. But let's take a screenshot here. Ready to vMotion is the name for the screenshot. Ready to vMotion is the name of the screenshot. Ready to vMotion. So it's screenshot 7, so it's 8. Ready to vMotion from ESXi01 to ESXi02. But if you suppose you were following and you did not write that, so don't worry. But ready to vMotion from ESXi1 to ESXi2, and screenshot here. Okay, and then going to just click finito, and what we're expecting is that it should just move or migrate from Tor DC to NYDC, right? So I'm just gonna check the recent tasks here, and you can see it's 20% here. It's trying to move and complete it, and it's successfully moved to NYDC. So that's a very good indication that all the configuration was okay. So let's take a screenshot where now it is on 200.3. So VM migrated successfully to ESXi2. Let's take a screenshot of this. VM migrated successfully to ESXi2. So VM migrated successfully. So that would be screenshot 9. So VM migrated successfully to ESXi2. That's done. And well, we can just do the migration back here just to check that it's a two-way migration. So right click again here, and then we go to migrate again, and now it's the same options. We're just going back from 2 to 1. So change compute resource only, next, and now we need to set the destination to the ESXi01. Next, and it's VM network to VM network. Yes, it's okay. So right now, yes. And then finish. So it's again migrating now. Recent tasks actually is not showing anything. Oh, did I migrate to the same machine? No. Maybe. Aren't we sending it from 3 to 2? Oh, did I not put the 2? Serious? What's wrong with me? Okay. Migrate. Yeah. Yeah, I think I did 2, but Okay. Yeah, so it is on 3 and it is now on 2. Okay, so it's okay. Next. Did I not do that before? Oh, maybe not. Oh, okay. Sorry about that. And next. Next. Okay, it's on 2. And yeah, now it's moving. Okay, my bad. And 98% here. So if it was 128 GB RAM, it would be like in seconds. Well, it is in seconds right now, but much lesser than that. Right away, like you just put that finish button and that's it. It's there. So it's back here. So migrated back to E6i1 successfully. So it's two-way migration, two sides, both are good. So take a screenshot of this one as well. So vMotion is a very critical feature that needs to be configured very carefully. We had a SAN there, and the machine migrated real quick, but the virtual disk never moves here in this case. So screenshot 10 migrated back to ESXi01. Okay, so that is our vMotion here, and so well, oh, okay, we did reach 10 screenshots here. So the vMotion itself was not a big deal here. It's just that if we have configured everything correctly, so we were able to migrate the virtual machine from one hypervisor to another without moving the disk. And in production environments, this is what's going on, and you have to configure it exactly this way. So, well, actually, we read the screenshot 10 here, so that would be it, guys. And so then, see you in next class. If there are any questions, let me know. Otherwise, if you were migrating, seriously, did I say migrating? If you were following the lab with me, then you can upload. Otherwise, you can ask questions. Okay. So can we get an update on what the next 2 weeks look like? What works is to be done? Tests. Yeah. So Tim, it's lecture on Monday, Friday, hopefully off, most probably off, and then the final week would be the quiz on Monday, and the Friday, the coming Friday. So I will be letting you know if we can have a quiz on Friday instead of Monday. So that will be this Friday. I will just let you know. So that's it. So one quiz left. Either it will be in the last week's Monday or Friday. If it's on Friday, then Monday would still be a lecture, and that's it. So right now, if Monday is a lecture, Friday is off, Monday lecture, and Friday final test. That's what it looks like. Project, yeah, I have actually completed that. I had to keep on changing that. So tonight you will get a small project of 2 virtual machines. One is E6i, one is Windows, and you need to connect from Windows to E6i and create some network cards, add disks there, and do some small tasks for 18 marks. So it's a 2 to 4 hour lab overall. If you do that, then that's a project you can submit within the 2 weeks. It's actually a few hours project, but yeah, we have 2 weeks time for that. So yeah, I'm half done, so I will just be able to upload it today. So project is there, and it's 18 marks, but it's a small lab. Just adding disks and, well, a little more than that. But configuration of the hypervisor overall. We have gone much ahead with vCenter. So, but individual configuration of hypervisor, because of 2 weeks left now. so I'm keep making it a little easy. But yeah, it could be more challenging, but then I don't want students to be overwhelmed with that. These labs are also, students are asking a lot of, they're stuck at many places there. That's also tough enough. So yeah, that's the plan. So today you should be getting that finished project document that we need to submit with screenshots. 9 screenshots in total with specific criteria. That's the project. Well, I'll explain everything. Yeah, can I get link to OneNote, please? You're not connected? Example screenshots, I will explain everything about the screenshot, pretty much just like our screenshot is there, where I say that, hey, your name should be there. So make sure your name is appearing either from the URL or from here. And yeah, and I'll be giving the path as well. And yeah, one or two example screenshots. Okay, sure, no problem. Your name should be appearing, and if suppose I say 8 network cards should be showing. Okay, so it should be 8 network cards. That's it, with your name appearing there, just like we're doing here. The project is just like our labs, so it's all written details there. But yeah, one or two screenshots I'll just put as an example, which pretty much looks like the ones we are taking right now. And share. So guys, any questions, let me know. Otherwise, see you this Monday. So Mohammed, what's your name, what's your ID in Durham? Yes, project being posted tonight, and it's a few hour lab. Mohammed. And okay, 80. So it's Umar.Sharif. Yeah. Okay, check your email and you should get an invitation. Oh, may I get the link as well? Okay, guys. So if you're seeing that, you can just keep giving me your emails if you don't have OneNote access, and I'll just keep putting those here. All right, welcome. Okay, anyone else? You're welcome. And any questions, guys? Let me know. Any concerns? Email me. And other than the labs and the quiz, you won't get any challenges. This was a challenge, the lab itself. Other things should be straightforward for you. Alright, guys, if there are questions, let me know. Otherwise, bye bye for now, and see you on Monday. So any questions, let me know. Oh, I didn't send them. Okay. Where are we posting this lab? Okay, yeah, that. Give me a second. I'll just